Alright, story time. Ever since I started photography, like 12, 13 years ago, I was drawn to capturing the vastness of our world, both in nature as well as in cities. And this sort of carried over in how I film these days. And the key to capturing all this beauty is a wide-angle lens. And when I switched over from my full-frame A7S II to a Super 35 sensor of the Red Komodo, I was on the hunt for a new super wide-angle lens that helps me capturing the concrete jungle and also eventually the beautiful nature once we can travel again. And I believe I found the perfect solution for Super 35 cinema cameras in the Tokina Cinema ATX 11 to 20 millimeters T2.9. That's a mouthful, wide-angle lens. And before we talk about it, you know what's coming, a footage sequence. So let's drop it and see you in a second. Booyah! You may be wondering, what on earth are we celebrating here? Well, it's definitely not 2020, but similar, close. We have freaking 20,000 subscribers. You guys are bonkers. This is amazing. A big thank you, as you can see. But now, let's talk about this lens here. Ready to go? So, this is what we're gonna do today. To bring a couple of the features of the 11 to 20 to life, we're gonna do a little bit of a crash course of what a Cine lens is, then head into very unscientific but rooted in real world scenarios tests, as you're used to from my channel, and wrap it up by talking about what this lens is good for and how I'm using it. So not to take away from any conclusion, but to give you a little bit of context, this summer I got this lens sent as a loaner and was able to test it out for a few days, and frankly I liked it so much that I decided to buy it a couple of weeks ago. And that was also when Tokina Cinema asked me if I wanted to become a featured artist for them, and I said, well, yes please, because now this allows me to loan some of their really high-end lenses, and hopefully I can talk about those on this channel soon, you know, like thinking about the Vista One Primes. Insert explosion of head. But first, crash course. Many of you may be already very familiar what Cine lenses are, but we are an inclusive bunch of people, right? So let's get everyone on the same page at the hand of the 11 to 20. So, the most obvious and visible difference between photo lenses and Cine lenses is that Cine lenses are fully geared, built in, so that you can use a follow focus or a fixed gear motor system without putting any strap-on kind of solutions on your photo lens. This is important because most Cine lenses are fully manual. There's no autofocus, no iris control, nothing, no bells and whistles. It's all manual. But with that manual nature comes a higher degree of precision, and this is why Cine lenses have a much longer and smoother focus ring. The 11 to 20 has a 300-degree barrel rotation or focus throw, allowing for a very precise dialing in of focus. And it has focus markings on both sides, so you can see it on the left and the right side if you're the operator or the AC. Many Cine lenses compared to their photo siblings have reduced focus breathing, so as you may be racking focus between two subjects, the framing does not really change, or it doesn't have this zoom in effect. It is one of these usually undesirable technical characteristics of lenses that some may actually find quite charming. I'm thirsty. All right. I hope that's out of frame. Another big difference to photo zooms is that most Cine zooms are parfocal, and so is this Tokina. Parfocal basically means that when you zoom in or out of the subject you are currently focused on, that it stays in focus throughout the entire zoom range as you zoom in or out. So unlike photo lenses, Cine lenses have declicked iris. So when you, for example, have an interior shot and you go into the exterior, You can smoothly change the iris as you go out into a more brighter scenario without any issues. The iris on Cine lenses is actually measured in t-stops rather in f-stops. Conceptually they are the same, but t-stops measure the exact amount of light that passes through the lens. That comes in very handy when you swap around lenses, and you can rest assured that a T2.9 on this lens is a T2.9 on a different Cine lens as well. So you don't have to adjust your exposure, your lighting, or any of the iris adjustments either. And a quick side note in case you wondered, the 11-20 has a 9-bladed iris. And lastly, Cine lenses are usually released in sets, and this is particularly true for prime lenses. And in those sets, the gearing is at the exact same position. So when you swap out lenses, your follow focus and matte box can stay as they are because the lenses will just match perfectly in there. The lenses in the set are also usually calibrated to give a very similar look in terms of color and contrast, so that you can easily match them in post without any hassle. So overall, you see that Cine lenses are designed to make life in a production from shoot to post just easier and faster. So on a high level, this is the Cine version of Tokina's very popular 11-20 photo lens. It is a fast wide angle zoom that comes in at T2.9 to T22 and costs you about $2,199 at this moment. It clocks in at about 2.43 pounds or 1.1 kilograms due to its all metal housing and the 14 glass elements in 12 groups arranged here. So while it is heavy, it feels very robust and meaty, and I mean this in all the good ways, but it is not weather sealed, something to keep in mind. It sports a standard 95mm outer ring for all your matte boxes and has an 86mm inner ring filter thread for your IR&D switch I should get this week. Cool. It also comes with a user interchangeable lens mount, which you can change yourself to an LF, PL, EF, Sony E, Nikon F and Micro Four Thirds mount. I personally don't recommend doing it yourself unless you're a pro, then you can obviously do it yourself, but I would give it to someone who knows what they're doing, so I wouldn't do it myself. No. To test out the optical characteristics and limitations of this lens, let's go outside one more time before the city shuts down and or freezes over. So as mentioned, this lens is designed for Super 35 sensors, and with its image circle of 30mm, you may run into issues, no, you definitely run into issues when you're shooting on larger Super 35 cameras like the Red Helium or Gemini. And it's basically usable from 16 to 20mm in that case. If you're shooting on a Komodo though, which has just a slightly larger Super 35 sensor, you're basically pretty much good to go at 11. You see some slight vignetting, but as soon as you zoom into 12mm, it pretty much vanishes. And worst case, you can just crop the aspect ratio to 2.4:1, which I do a lot, and then it's completely gone. What really pleases me about this lens is its minimal distortion. Wide-angle lenses usually suffer from quite significant distortion, oftentimes giving you this fisheye effect that, generally speaking, is undesirable. But this lens in particular, even at 11mm, what we're shooting right now, the lines you can see are actually pretty straight. On a similar note, and I'm intentionally out of focus here, I want to talk about sharpness, because wide-angle lenses suffer from a fall-off in sharpness towards the outer rims, and that's a Star Wars joke, of the image, the outer areas. And I'm frankly actually fairly impressed by this lens, because it's not only sharp in the center, as you can see here with the building details, but also towards the edges here, as you can see in the trees. It's not that bad. It's still fairly sharp and usable, wide open. We're shooting at T2.9 right now. Alright, let's talk lens flares. Overall, this lens doesn't suffer from like unpleasant flares as much as other wide-angle lenses, which is great. Thanks to the coating, the flares colors are around purple to green, which goes in line with the overall image characteristic of this lens, which is more on the cooler end compared to other lenses I have. And also, the more you step down, you get these starry effects around light sources, which are also obvious when you shoot wide open, as you can see in these shots. But I'm personally not
like opposed to this kind of look, but I know some people are, so maybe just throw another filter on it, like a Pro Mist or so, to reduce that effect.
Alright, lastly, before I freeze my fingers off, I'm gonna make you feel uncomfortable and get really close to the camera and talk to you about the close distance. It's 12 inches or 30 centimeters. It depends on where you're from in the world, but that's darn close and it allows you to give you very interesting angles and also look at the bokeh. I dig it. Let's go back inside. Alright, so to wrap it all up, let's talk about when would one use this kind of wide angle lens. And that one right now is me, but if you want to share how you're using your wide angle lenses, please let us know down in the comment section below. Well, for me, it's certainly the go-to lens for gimbal work. When flying the Komodo on my RS2, I just made a video about this a couple of weeks ago, check it out. But this is just a really nice cinematic setup. While the lens itself is fairly heavy, you definitely need counterweights. It is just still a fairly compact setup, and I can totally see myself traveling with it and capturing the beautiful vast landscapes with some sort of dynamic twist. Can you tell how much I miss traveling? Next year. Also, if you shoot real estate or weddings, this could be a really nice fit too. But certainly it also works for narrative work if you want to pull off a wide angle shot a la Wes Anderson. Certainly you can achieve that with this lens. So under the bottom line, it is on the plus side a very sharp, low distortion lens with a great build quality, and it's just wide AF for a reasonable price for a Cine lens. In the minus column, it is heavy. You have to keep that in mind. It's not weather sealed and it has some vignetting on larger Super 35 sensors. Also, you want to ask yourself, do you really need a Cine lens for your job, or does a photo version do a job? Just keep that in mind, ask yourself that question. Let's go outside one more time.
Alright, this concludes the first of a couple of lens reviews that I have lined up for Super 35 cinema cameras like the Komodo, and there will be more videos around accessories in the next couple of weeks, so make sure to stay tuned by hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell, and let the YouTube algorithm as well as the lovely people watching this video know that you enjoyed it by clicking that thumbs up button as well. And as always, thanks so much for watching whenever or wherever you are around this pretty beautiful planet. Bye bye. Still following me. Still following me. That's both in city. Yeah. Okay, do one more time and then that's it. What really pleases me. Okay, do it one more time and then that's it.